Okay, welcome Liberal Lunch. We're starting with a roar today.
We are.
It's
I was cold coming in, but boy, the conversation is heating things up.
It's heating things up here, and we're going to start right away because we've got William Otley here. And William, great to have you on the show.
Hey.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Gee, we were getting into so much stuff before actually, not even talking about what you came here to talk about today. But
well, go ahead if you want to talk about it briefly. We can get, yeah, sure, go on.
Because
it's all good. Let's just
go ahead. Go with the flow.
Because all the stuff that we're talking about, the stuff that you didn't come here to talk about today, was the inspiration for the creation of what you did come here to talk about.
Correct.
Right?
So
exactly. Okay, now everybody's totally confused.
So maybe you really did come here to talk about that too.
Well, probably much so. I mean, that's just believe it or not, it's just getting the word out of what's really going on. It's just about as important as my project, if you ask me.
So let's start with it. It's called Keshi.
Oh, that's not what his project's called. But
no,
do you want to just talk about the Keshi thing for a minute?
Sure, let's talk about that.
That's background, right?
Yeah. So I know a little bit about it, but not a lot. So do you want to just?
Well, I started researching a little bit with regards to one of my favorite forums is I think it's Godlike Productions. They're all the conspiracy forums and everything else are on there. And there's this gentleman on there was talking about, he was from Keshi Foundations, talking about the free energy aspect. He was talking using plasma devices, matter, antimatter, and the dark matter, all aspects apparently. And he's not exactly with regards to the product that they're developing and have developed. Apparently isn't using Tesla's, but very similar principles.
Okay.
So they're actually marketing a product for something like 5,000 pounds that will produce free energy, something like 3 to 5 kilowatts of energy.
Wow.
And originally it started, this Keshi Foundation was part of the Iranian space program. And what I found interesting is, I remember last year there was this whole talk about conveniently the American military flew a spy drone, somehow mysteriously had problems and went to Iran conveniently, and it malfunctioned, and there was a nice photo that's out on the internet showing that the Iranian government has this drone which is supposedly supposed to self-destruct if it's in the wrong hands, and there's nothing wrong with it. So everyone's talking about this drone that simply was destroyed or shot down, whatever, but there's nothing wrong with this drone.
So what, the Iranians have an American drone?
Apparently they do right now. They have this drone, and there's nothing wrong with it except for it's not working.
So have the Americans fessed up, though? Have they said, we sent that there?
I do believe they have. I do believe they said that they want it back. And what's interesting to fuel the fuel of the conspiracy people is now both our lovely Prime Minister Harper and Obama has said that we're not allowed to do with the Keshi Foundation, which was involved with the Iranian government.
Harper said that?
I do believe Harper's indicated. I think so. I don't quote me 100%, but I do believe I read somewhere that Harper. I know Obama has definitely said that no citizens of the United States are allowed to do with the Keshi Foundation.
Okay.
Can they do that? Can you actually do that?
What a great reason to go ahead and deal with the Keshi Foundation.
Yeah.
So, but let's talk about it for a minute. So Keshi is a guy, right?
Well, Keshi is a scientist who was created and was able to figure out the whole free energy aspect. So they're involved, and apparently they have this device that flies up into the air using some kind of propulsion system. And simply, from my understanding, what he done is he simply flew up there, landed above the drone, and disarmed it using, I assume, something like an EMP pulse energy, and got it all the way down. So it seems like Iran is actually either a stalemate or a checkmate. Using this free energy device, and it looks like they're not going to be bombed, and it's just all hot air between all the politicians.
So it's got to be modeled after Tesla, though, right? The stuff has to, because Tesla was the first.
He was the first person to offer and show to everyone the free energy.
Tesla.
Yeah, I think the reason why it got shut down was because of J.P. Morgan and everyone else who wanted.
Because he didn't figure out how he could bill on it, because it was free energy. But the Iranians aren't the first to have developed free energy. I mean, there's dozens, I would say, of Americans, individual people working in their garages that have developed free energy concepts that have, some of them have been killed, some of them have been shut down. The Japanese invented a water-powered car. The Indians are working on something like that now. I mean, it's out there. It's out there, and it's and plus the whole cold fusion thing. Hans and Fleischmann, that was a free energy system.
My understanding is the reason the significance of the Keshi Foundation is they have been able to patent this technology through all the different governments. So I know the government of the United States has something like thousands and thousands of suppressed patents that they own for all types of things, free energy stuff, but now they can't.
How can you patent free energy? Okay, I may not understand this, but
how
does that work?
It's a control mechanism, I think, for everyone saying, well, you can't do this because we own the rights to it.
Oh, so basically it's saying because we own something that is free, you can't.
Basically.
Okay. That
because
makes a lot
they still
of sense.
can't make money off of it, off of free energy.
So they want
the
to
oil
stop you from
companies,
using it.
think about it, if there was free energy, the oil companies
would
around the world
would die.
And nations would lose their wealth of natural resources.
This is a world game changer.
Absolutely.
This truly is right now.
But it's what we need.
It's what we need.
Because it's the oil that's adding the greenhouse gases, it's all this chemicals that are creating pollution, and that's...
So one of the major aspects from there through the industrial military complex, the pharmaceutical industries, the banking cartel.
And I even read I read that in the States, many of the independent oil gas stations are all closing down because they can't afford the high price of gas now. They're not making enough money, so they're all closing down, which is going to create even more of an issue in the States, right? So,
well, you know, people are actually, you know what, I just got an email this morning. I know it sounds crazy, but there's a company in the States that's selling a device that you just hook onto your car, and it basically
runs?
It's not 100% replacement of your fuel with water, but it's a significant savings by using water to power your car.
Wow.
And this is mainstream stuff. I get an email from them every week. Oh, we got a special today on this and that. So it's already happening.
Amazing.
In fact, email today from them said, you know, forget about the economy, fix your own economy. Start saving money on your fuel right away.
So, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
So, William, that's not really what we're here to talk about
That's
today.
okay. I just would love to get that out anyways.
But did you want to talk about...
timelines?
Let's talk about timelines as a lead-in to how you came to develop this technology that you're working on.
So in a synopsis, or a very quick understanding of how I came to my project, about 8 years ago, I decided I had enough of looking outside of this reality for answers, and I decided to look within myself for answers. And I had a lot of synchronistic experiences, and one of them was actually started reading this book called Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh.
I read some of that book.
Well, I've read all the first 3 books of it.
He's changed many a life.
Many lives. I mean, I'm very pessimistic. I admit in the beginning. I mean, I'm very scientific.
Yes.
Very analytical. I'm in the computer field, so I kind of have to be. It goes hand in hand. And here I am reading this book, and I'm like, OMG. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And these things that seem to be hitting the core of who and what I'm like, this just makes sense, and everyone needs to read this stuff, and everybody else there, and I'm like, wow, and I'm like, trying to understand things, and then what happened is I started researching more, and I started doing more meditation, and then I started having these interesting visions and these ideas of this knowingness that maybe there's a reason why I am here. Now, I still don't to this day know whether or not this project is what my passion is, but it seems to fit. So one of the things that Neil Donald Walsh says is, look back in your life and to see if you have the actual skill sets to follow your passion, do what you did. So, you know, I'm looking back and I'm saying, well, what are my skill sets? And I'm like, OMG. All the skill sets that I had all the way through up to 35, 36 years fit to really what my project's all about.
So the pieces of the puzzle started to fall.
It started to fall in, but then of course the fear and the doubt, envisioning Mount Everest, like, oh, it's just me and I just can't do it myself. I can't, you know, I started seeing I actually saw what the internet was heading towards. And I started envisioning what the internet was really supposed to be for. It was like a big global brain of information, but it's all being centralized, and we need to somehow get that from being centralized to decentralized.
Because centralized means, again, control. Right? So it's no different than the oil companies.
And its original architecture was decentralized.
Exactly. So, more conspiracy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it was kind right?
of,
I didn't even know that.
And it's kind of ironic, I think, kind of an accident. The military created the internet.
No, they didn't actually.
Well, okay. But
who did?
But anyway, it was created to be resilient in the result of a nuclear war or any kind of major meltdown, dysfunction.
Correct, exactly. I think what happened,
which led to the decentralized.
Well, ARPANET and so forth was from the universities, and everybody else there said, well, listen, we have this, that's this, and then
the military took it.
Yes.
SARS.
Now, then from there, there's some interesting conspiracy if you want to go even further, but we don't necessarily have to go there. Okay. So then what I said, sorry, go ahead.
No, nothing.
Okay. So then what happened is I said, well, let's look at what I really need. Well, really needed to be decentralized. I saw a threat for humanity. And I saw a global, I gotta be careful of the words that I use with regards to defining the current existing aspect, but I saw way back then this central hub of information that was the governments were using, the CIA and the FBI, and I just saw it all there, though I can't really say the name of the central hub of information, but I think a lot of people are getting to what it is. And that had to be taken away. And the only way it could have been taken away, I realized, was a lot of people were trying to take it away by creating this software. And there's a lot of free open source software out there. You have stuff like Dysphoria, you have Appleseed, for an example. You have another one called Frenica. They're all trying to get it out there, but the problem is people are not yet ready to be able to know how to put it on their machines.
Because they're not tech savvy
enough. They're not tech savvy enough. So this is where my service comes in.
Okay.
Where I you simply register at the website and you download my open source software. It downloads and installs very easily and efficiently in a Windows box, and you're ready to good to go. Or you could download something. This is beta right now. We're working on. It's a small computer. It's a small mini computer that you can buy yourself for like $100 right now, and it's all enough for your own web server, like your own clone or your own social networking at home, ready to go.
So what's this called? The People's Internet?
Yeah, the website is called pplsnet.com, or the People's Internet. It's decentralized. I'm working towards
100% private.
Yes, and what I mean by 100% private, it means, well, it's your own machine at home. You own everything.
This is your computer.
This is your computer.
This is all you need.
This is all you need.
Well, you need a screen.
And this will let you do business
you actually
on
don't.
the internet.
You have your, well, see, you have your computer. Everywhere you look at the computers, right? You have your own computers and your own screens and everything else there. You just simply hook this up, power it up, plug it in, plug a cable into it through your wireless box, whatever.
That's your hard drive.
There's a hard drive on there. There's everything you need.
But you plug a computer, a keyboard into here and a monitor?
You don't know. Basically, you connect it from remote using like a web browser. But you see, because you're now internal, and this is all internal, so you type into the internal address for it, you'll be able to find that in, or you connect through Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, and there will be a how-to and how to set it up.
You just plug this in, basically, plug it into the internet, and you can do stuff with this computer.
Exactly.
With a keyboard and a monitor. You can see what you're doing.
Yes, you can see what you're doing from remote, exactly.
Right. Okay, it's a little bit of a...
Okay, so let's make this real for people, okay, for something like Facebook.
You said it, not me.
Facebook is tomorrow's MySpace.
Exactly. We don't have to sell our stuff anymore. So, but anyways, yeah, why give your stuff online to large corporations who only want to profit from it?
Right. Okay. So, and also too, because it's not private.
It's not private anymore. No.
Okay. We all know Facebook is not private.
Well, you know that information is going somewhere else, and people are using it, and they're making money from it.
And they don't give you any choice.
Exactly.
With any new, additions and that kind of thing, right?
And they did. Yeah, exactly.
So this is basically you have to. How do you have your own Facebook with this?
Well, there's a lot of different open source clients that are out there right now that my service is looking to prepare it and package it for you to easily install on your machine at home. It does take some time, and that's why I'm in beta stage right now with a few of the products out there.
Okay.
And you choose which one kind of resonates with you that you like, and you install it from the installer, and it's ready to go.
Okay, obviously, I'm one of those people who are not that tech savvy. Okay, so you were speaking to like 101. Okay?
Exactly.
Okay, so I could start up my own kind of private Facebook on this, is what you're saying. Okay,
yes, you can.
What other kinds of services could I have?
Well, in the future, we're hoping maybe within the next 6 months, we're trying to offer, which is decentralized DNS. That's actually very revolutionary. And right now, there's a control for ICANN.
Didn't somebody get thrown in jail for that? Alternic?
Well, actually, this is actually completely free. We bypass ICANN. And really,
what's DNS and what's ICANN?
Okay, when you type in www.facebook.com, www.google.com.
That's a URL. That's not a DNS.
Your URL. Well, actually, DNS is the underlining aspect of it. You're actually referencing an actual IP address. Every computer on the internet is based upon a number, not a name.
Okay, got it.
So we have these controlling mechanisms called .com, .net,
yes.
.org, .ca for Canadian emails. They're actually controlling mechanisms. And the company's ICANN United States is now going through, the politicians are going, and if we don't like you, we're going to shut your .com down or .net or whatever.
I can't.
Well, and there's nothing you can do about it because they actually own ICANN, because they actually own it throughout the whole world.
So they're saying I can do whatever I want.
Basically. But that's going to be circumvented soon. And what it boils down to is there's a simple DNS aspect where you use this DNS at home and you reference the one at home, and it's just basically a name to an IP address.
Okay, so here's another question for you then. If I were to take this and use this, how tech savvy, on a scale of 1 to 10, okay, say you're a 10, okay, and right now I'm a 1, okay, how tech savvy do you have to be to actually be able to utilize this?
Probably a 6.
Okay, so how would I get from a 1 to a 6?
I'm working on that.
There's a gap.
There's still some room to grow with regards to how we're about trying to get it down there, but we're getting there. I mean, basically all you got to do is register, download the installer, install it on your machine. It's straightforward, and then of course you're presented with your browser and you're ready to go.
Do I need to worry about DNS and all that stuff then?
Not yet, no. Well, the DNS aspect isn't ready just yet, but it will be shortly.
But they'll never need, the client will never need to worry about all that stuff, because you're going to make it drop dead easy for everybody to use.
Exactly. So you have to type in Joe Blow's machine and it'll go to their machine.
So in other words, then are you coming down to the 1, or do I have to go up to the 6?
Hopefully you'll be able to do a 2 or 3.
Okay.
What are you talking about, 6-1? What's that?
Okay, because I was saying to
clients?
him, I was saying, okay, I said, how tech savvy do you have to be to have this? And say on a scale of 1 to 10, he's a 10 and I'm a 1. Yeah. What do you have to be? And he said a 6. And I said, okay, that's
right
that's
now,
a big
but
gap.
hopefully it'll be a 2 and 3. We're
okay. Well, I can manage that. I can manage learning a little more. I had a question I forgot.
Okay. Well,
you can fill it.
Okay. So William, what else do we need to know about this right now?
Well, right now it's in beta stage, so if you want to try it out, it's absolutely free. Try it, install it on your machine at home. We have a forums there where you can ask for questions, and hopefully there'll be people there to answer you. And yeah, it doesn't hurt. It's absolutely free right now to try.
Okay, so you're saying it's free right now?
Yes. There will eventually, what will happen is, well, nothing's ever really, really free. Right now it's really free. Go ahead and install it anywhere else. But eventually they will be offering either free banner ads that will be what are called non-intrusive. We won't monitor anything whatsoever other than the fact that there will be 2 banners showing up on the web, or it'll be something as low as $30 a year.
Okay, so now if it's completely private, this begs the question of criminal activity.
Yes.
Or porn, or children's porn or whatever. What do you do about that, or do you not do anything? You just...
Well, I'm not a regulator, really, with regards to people's moralities.
It's going to be up to every person to determine what goes on their box.
Exactly. Right. Obviously, if the individual person doesn't have their highest intention, sooner or later, we have the technology. Literally, the police force and everyone else have technologies to be able to find the individual IPs and everyone else anyway.
So that's where you will enlist, like, it would be up to... So would the cops be able to do that?
Sorry,
would they be able to trace it if they needed to?
If they really needed to, oh, definitely. But you see, it's realized, but the privacy is actually... all the data is stored on your machine at home. You choose who you want to come to your machine or not.
Okay.
And that's where the power you have. Instead of you spending all the time and effort in other people's machines where they get all your information and they dictate to you, well, we don't like how this person is reacting. Like, for an example, you may have a justifiable cause. Maybe you have a cause where you want to decriminalize cannabis, for an example. But you see there's certain policies, for an example, on online social networks where he says, we can't have these, we don't allow this.
Right.
You lose that power, but then when you have your own social networking engine at home, well, you make the decisions yourself. You're 100%, you choose who you want to come to your machine at home.
Okay, so that's wonderful, and for most of us, I think it'll be used in a very positive way. But there might be a segment, and I'm not trying to be negative here at all.
Right. No, you're right.
Is there a way, or isn't there? Do we just leave it up to
on the internet? Even on hosted online, there's tons of sites and everything else that offer all the negative aspects.
But there might be a way to do it if, for example, part of the process of creating this is creating a community as well. A community that uses this technology and a community that agrees to certain guidelines about how it'll be used.
Oh, definitely.
Right?
For if it's placed into a community aspect, it has Wi-Fi capabilities. It's so easily to circumvent the current ISP situation in Toronto area. If we all got together and decided, well, let's just have some Wi-Fis, then we would bypass all the Rogers and Bells and all the controlling mechanisms that exist right now.
Well, you know what?
Let's
think about it. Well,
start right here, right now.
Yeah, really, when you think about it, the internet itself, and I mean the hardware that runs it and the software that controls it, really, when you think about it, should be a publicly owned and controlled utility.
Why are we paying for communications? Isn't that the responsibility of our governments and ourselves?
Well, why is Rogers?
Guys, why are we paying for water?
And fluorinated water.
Not that we're not going to pay for it, because you have to pay for it. Because when I talk to the Rogers guys, they say, "Oh, we have to invest so much in infrastructure," right? Which they do.
They do.
Right.
But then you have to ask what type of infrastructure.
And who's that infrastructure serving, really?
And I'll be honest with you, the technology we have right now with all the ISPs, they can track every single thing you type in your machine. That is fundamentally the equipment that they all have. Do not think for 1 minute that they don't have it. They do.
This would prevent that.
Because, well, yes and no. Understand that all your information is on your machine at home. People are coming to you. Now, in a proper community where everyone is sharing their information, we don't have to worry about the big brother aspect in spying on us.
Right, okay.
But they still have to come to you, and that's where they can monitor.
Okay.
But,
it's still significantly reduced.
We're working on it.
It's still significantly reduced.
We don't have too much time left.
Okay.
So is there anything we should mention that we haven't mentioned yet about this project?
No, I think we've hit it on. I'll just try it out, and it's free for right now, and enjoy it.
And the website again for people?
pplsnet.com.
pplsnet.com.
net.com.
And just before we go, because how we got onto this, so let's talk about the timelines if we can a little bit.
Okay.
What is this going to do? Have you seen the timeline that happens when this technology?
Basically, what I saw is a battle between a lot of people trying to get away a huge chunk of the centralized social networking aspect. And there is, because society really isn't all that tech savvy, this helps allow it to come a little more quicker, because as you mentioned before, the people don't have all that tech smarts. My service is going to allow to bring all that technology down to the common man to use more efficiently and easily.
All right, so that's going to happen for sure.
I'm hoping so.
This is a timeline, right? Do you have a time?
Do I actually have a time for this? I can see within the next couple years, actually, where there is a huge struggle right now. There's a huge struggle right now where people are trying to understand that privacy is very important right now. People now are understanding that.
So people who are buying stock in Facebook, stop.
Well,
it's going down.
Well, it was going down from the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, William. Great to do this. We'll have to get you back.
So
maybe we'll come back when Fernando's on the show. That'll be fun.
Oh, that'll be lovely. Well, I mean
Franco. Fernando's on the show today.
Franco, you need to.
Okay. All right, William. This is great. So
thank you, and good luck with the project. It sounds awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate
it. For a tech basic like me.
Okay, so we're going to take a little break. Menage is here. Fernando and Bella and one other.
Are we going to see a performance? Are we going to see a performance?
I don't know if they're going to perform or not, but let's take a break.
Do you remember your name?
I do. Also, we've got...
He's even got written down, okay.
We got some people from the Power Expo here. Is Carolyn coming, guys? No? Oh, we got to go. I got a call coming in. Okay, we're going to take this break.
We told everybody turn your cell phones off except him.
Right after this. Okay, we're back on the show. So that was just something about the ancient UFOs.
Wow.
It's just one timeline that people are dealing with.
Yes. Now, are you taking the timeline where you're moving to LA?
I don't know. I could choose any timeline at this point.
But you know, if you do choose that timeline, you may be exiting pretty quick if all those earthquakes happen.
Well, maybe that's true about the earthquakes and all that, but I'm not sure. Well, okay, we have some people from LA here.
I know, and they're already making their own kind of earthquake happen, right? Because they really rock, right?
Which we're going to find out at the end because we're going to watch their video, their newest video. Maybe not their newest, but anyway, we got Menage here, Bella, Fernando, and Stacy. Great to have you guys, as always, on the show.
Thanks. Nice to be here.
If I was going to phone Blue and tell her to watch, because I know she loves you guys.
Yeah,
and
she sends us messages now and then. So it's nice to hear from her.
So, always great to have you on the show. Here you are. You're not in the Halloween costumes this time. I don't even know what Gabriel really looks like. But
Gabriel's a member who's not here right now.
Yeah, he's our brother.
Okay.
Wild
and drummer.
Thanksgiving weekend.
Okay, wait a second. When you say brother,
literally,
are you guys?
The three of us are, and this is our neighbor.
Oh wow! So do you feel left out, Stacy?
From time to time.
Wow.
But he just lives next door.
You guys are brother and sister?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Gabriel is too, our drummer.
Okay, you know what? Your smile is the same. Wow. Okay.
That's because he wears the same lip gloss as I do.
See, yeah.
But your lips are redder, Bella.
And he's a little less bling bling. You should just put your hands up and see. Like, oh my God! Like, how do you walk around with that much?
The walking isn't the challenge. It's playing piano on stage with the rings.
Do you play piano with that?
But it's great if you get into a fight, though, right?
Yeah, I'm the toughest one.
Okay, so you actually play keys with that much.
Yeah, I actually don't really like my hands, so I always try to cover them somehow.
Oh, you have beautiful hands. What's up with that?
I don't know. I have my issues.
Wow. Wow, all that glitters. Like the Liberace female.
From the hands.
Okay, so let's talk about what's new with Menage, because you sent me that video, Bella, and we're going to play it at the end, and we're looking forward to it. But you guys are back in Toronto to do a Halloween show, I guess. Halloween must be a big thing for you guys.
Yep, we love Halloween, and we were born and raised in Toronto, so it's nice to be back. We always try to be back around this time of the year because it's one of our favorite times of the year, and we always have such fun shows here. They turn into parties, kind of, so it's kind of become a tradition.
But you're based in LA now, so you're actually...
Yeah, we've been living there for about over 12 years now. So.
Oh my gosh.
We're always back and forth because our parents still live in Toronto.
So you went there 12 years ago for Menage or for something else?
We were all just...
hanging out.
Musicians just surfing. No, we went because of music. I don't know, we just felt really inspired to go.
But this is, okay, so, and you went and you went by your name, Bella, right?
Yeah.
Was the name of the act. And you had some good success with that.
Yeah.
So, I always, I have to ask the question, because, no, I see so many bands, like a lot of times, I think that part of what makes a band, because I'm still trying to do it, it's almost like the brand. Somehow the brand catches on. It's the name or it's the logo even, right, that works. And so to have success and then to go ahead and rebrand it, and there have been some big failures with rebranding. Yeah. I don't know if it was the numerology even or whatever. But it's like
makes no sense.
It's like you win the lottery,
or the psychic,
and then you go and take all the money, buy lottery tickets with it,
exactly,
and hope to win again.
More money.
It's kind of like that.
Like looking a gift horse in the mouth. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying it's because you achieved success once already, and now here you are rebranding. And I'm just curious why you guys did that.
You know, it was a combination of things. We always wrote together, and it was a bit of a challenge to actually agree on being in the same project together. So it was something that I think was always kind of obvious because we were all playing music in the same little living room growing up and everything, and we never really gave it a shot. And I don't know, we didn't really think of it as business moves or branding or something like that. It just seemed like the thing that was most natural.
Well, Bella wasn't really like a band. It was like her and, lyrics and whatever. It was always like, you know, based around what someone wanted to say, as opposed to like, you know, a collaboration. So I think that the biggest difference is this is a band, and there's 2 vocalists, and there's, you know, it's a little more band oriented.
Is the music slightly different now, or is it pretty much the same?
I think like we're all writing just like we always did.
Okay.
I think it's more I don't know. I think it's more live oriented when we perform this music. It's very much written with our idea of playing it live. So I think that's the biggest thing I hear, the difference when I hear.
So you've kind of grown up too then, because you're working together more, and it's also, I guess, less pressure too on you, because it's more associated with the actual one person. It really wasn't, as you were saying, it's really the band.
Yeah.
So this is kind of taking that off of you. Yeah. It's more like a collective effort.
Yeah, I think it's at least to whoever's seeing it from the outside, it seems more collective. We've always worked together, so it's kind of a continuation in a lot of ways, but just packaged different, I guess.
Now, did you guys you just mentioned, was it a tour or something in the U.S. that you just came off of or completed?
We just did 2 months across the States, stayed and did a bunch of shows in New York City.
How'd they go? Fun?
Great.
Yeah. So what kind of music is it? Who are your influences, and who do you sound like? What do people compare you to? Just to give us an idea.
Take it down the line.
Well, I'm really into like R&B and hip hop and jazz stuff, so it's cool to be in a different musical situation where they definitely welcome me to add that to the mix, but not have that coming at me from the other members of the group.
Okay.
So what instrument do you play, Stacey?
I'm a bass player.
Bass player. I play bass too.
Oh, really cool.
You guys should talk.
Awesome.
So influences, anybody compare you to any other artist, to give us an idea as to?
I don't know.
I mean, you look like a young Madonna to me.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you. There you go. There's my influence.
Seriously?
Sounds good. Sounds like a good answer.
Better than what I was going to say.
Okay. We just filled that one in.
I don't know.
I know
like
it's kind of.
I like a lot of singer-songwriters because I don't really play like I like a lot of like, you know, I think naturally like a heavy guitar player.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I like hearing anything but that. So it's like when you hear something that's really like lyric based, or something that's totally has 0 distorted guitars, you know, it's a nice change. So I think I listen to a lot of that.
So what kind of bands do you guys play with? When you said you played in New York, did you play with other bands?
Yeah. Couple of like indie rock bands in New York.
Okay.
So in other words, bands we would never have heard of.
Yeah. The bands are so great, they don't even exist.
Yeah.
Are they really?
They're so underground, they don't really exist yet.
But you said they're great, right?
I think he was being.
They a lot of great bands, but that was a little joke.
So
Hugh, you could be playing with them.
I know. So what's the music scene like in New York?
Sorry to interrupt, and this will answer your question about what's the music scene like in New York is the next question. So one band we played with, for example, was a drummer and a tuba player playing kind of like, I don't know, would that be like drum and bass kind of rhythms, but with like 80s pop melodies on the tuba, for example.
What was that like?
It was great. It was like one of the most memorable.
Wow, that's very unique.
The opening band. It was in New York City, and it was like they played a Madonna song. They played some like, I don't know, like a Pet Shop Boys tune. I remember.
Wow.
Like, so a lot of these old melodies with a tuba running through like a bunch of effects and all this craziness, and a drummer playing alongside him, for example.
But was it really good, or was it just like sort of like a novelty?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like 10 minutes tops.
Yeah, like you're not gonna
buy the album.
Yeah.
Buy the
album. You don't
buy the trilogy.
Wow.
So I mean, I think that's a real challenge these days to come up with new music that's really good, that's really going to touch people, and to get it out there. There's so many people creating music,
especially in New York.
What do you do that's new? And to me, part of the answer to that question is, well, you get a tuba player and you run it through a bunch of effects, and you do stuff that nobody would ever do.
Yeah. Well, we were having this conversation like 2 days ago, me and Stacey, and I was like, what's I think for the first time, like there's nothing new that's offered
in
music.
Yeah.
Right? And Stacy kind of thought that electronic music is kind of like, you know, fresh and new. But besides that, I mean, like, you know, there's like the psychedelic era where it was like the introduction of these super long, like really instrumental songs, and you know, and then there was the introduction of synthesizers and keyboards, and then rap music was fresh, and then like, and now it's kind of like, I don't know what we've invented in the last 10 years, you know. The lyrics are worse, and you know, it's a lot of the same.
Well, what do you guys are in it, so what are you guys doing to
a lot of the same
blaze your own trail, or buck the trend, or contribute to our culture, or just have fun?
I don't think they think that deeply about it.
I think a lot of it is trying to kind of combine a lot of elements that the four of us, you know, have individually, and hopefully someone connects to it and sees something.
Well, I think to your point about everything being done before, it's really not about bringing something new. I think it's about the people and the energy and the chemistry that bring something new now. So I think it's more about the people as opposed to the style of music. I think so. I think that's, and that way you'll always be unique, because no two people are ever the same. Even though you are a brother and sister, you're a lot alike, but still you're very unique. And so, you know, if I were to do the same thing, if I were to form a band and try and copy you, for instance, I still would sound different.
Yeah, just naturally.
Yeah. So I think maybe it's about focusing more on authenticity than trying to be.
Like if you kind of look at yourself and focus on yourself and not chase something, I think it may happen naturally. Because right now we have like a female and a male singing that are related, with kind of like our big brother, who's more of like the, I don't know what his influences are, like 70s rock drums, you know, like who's the guy from Zeppelin? I don't know that guy's name.
John Bonham.
Right, him. And like an R&B bass player, you know what I mean?
That's an interesting combination.
So
do you guys fight, brothers and sisters?
No. Sure, I think.
Well, I can just imagine. Now, do you still call home and say, "Mom, do you know what Fernandez just did?"
Stacy, that question.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, poor Stacy.
As an outside observer and a next door neighbor,
do you
Stacy.
call Mom and say, "Oh my God, Mom, your neighbors are just so weird"?
Well, most of the hardcore fighting is done in a different language, so he doesn't even understand half of it.
Because we're Portuguese.
Oh.
So when you start like not understanding what we're saying, that's when you know it's getting intense.
You need to take now. Okay, if you study Spanish, will you understand Portuguese?
I did study Spanish, actually. Yeah.
Okay, because Spanish is very popular in LA. You could always learn that, and then you could pick up with their. Hey, have you guys thought about doing any kind of music in Portuguese or Spanish or anything like that? Because that's a beautiful language.
That, and it just doesn't. I don't know until it's like we do speak it.
But didn't you have a big hit in Portugal?
Yeah,
but
it was in English.
Yeah.
Oh,
they listen to. You turn on the radio there. It's pretty much like.
I don't personally. I think YouTube. Like I don't think in Portuguese, so to be writing in Portuguese would totally be unnatural. You know what I mean?
It seems insincere or something.
Okay.
Seems weird.
Wow.
Interesting. Okay. So, what are you guys working on these days, musically? Because we have the video. Is it from a new album, or do you have other videos?
Yeah, this is our debut album. It's the second video, and it's called Tonight, and it's starting up on Much Music now. And we had the first video, which was Barry is Young. This one's the second one, and we're just really stoked. Everybody has a very interesting reaction to seeing it the first time.
Really? Why?
Yeah.
Why? What do you mean?
If you watch, you'll know what I mean.
Is it because when it's his voice when you're
I think the whole storyline just catches people off guard, and I think I'm really proud of it. We just came up with it over a couple of alcoholic beverages in Los Angeles when we were brainstorming for video ideas.
So where did you guys...
Are you saying you were drinking in LA?
That's clever. Clever. I gotta write that one down.
Okay.
That's a lyric right there. There's a line.
It's already been done.
I know.
That's a great band.
Another Canadian band.
Okay. Wait a second. So, where did you guys do the video? Record
Los
the video?
Angeles.
Oh, it was in Los Angeles. Okay.
He does all of our video ventures, and hopefully we'll always work with the same people. We're like that. If we kind of grasp onto you and we like you, it's for life. You're stuck with us, like you guys. That's why we keep coming back here. We're probably the loyalist band alive.
So okay, what are you going to do next then? Or, I mean, what's the Halloween show is finished, and we're going to give all that info in a minute. But then what are you guys going to be working on?
We go back right after the Halloween show. We go back to States and we play more American shows. And this video that you're actually going to play is actually part of a series of videos. Every song on the record is going to have a video.
Okay.
And they all tie into one.
Nice. So it's going to be like
45 minute.
Throwback to like album.
Yeah.
Like, you know how albums were like themed, right?
Yeah.
How nice is that? There's something right there that's new.
So
that's
there's
fresh.
characters in the first video that aren't in this video, but they'll be coming back.
So you guys get to do some acting in the videos.
Yeah.
And how much fun is that?
It's cool. It's
I hate it.
I don't see why you guys don't have a reality show.
I'm starved for attention.
I think this would be great to have a Menage reality show.
Sure. Except that we're a band.
Yeah. But that's Ozzy did it.
Yeah.
And the Kiss guy.
I don't know. I think it's. I don't know. I don't know where music is headed. I just forget. I won't talk about it. But I just saw that Black Eyed Peas video, the one with the giant robots. I just think it's really funny at the beginning when they're like talking, the band. I just think that's hilarious, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How they pull that off. You guys, I think, do whatever you want with that, guys. Do more stuff like that. Okay, so
real.
All right, so Halloween, where's the show in Toronto? Stacey?
At the Hideout.
At the Hideout. Yeah. Wow, that's a nice, intimate little
space.
That
was really well rehearsed. When you asked that, they together put the mic over to Stacey. That's really...
There's something about Stacey that's actually really interesting. First, my brother met him here in Toronto at a show, at a Roots concert.
He was your neighbor and your brother met him at the Roots concert?
We didn't know at the time.
We didn't know.
We were in like the middle of like Utah. And we started talking about like what subway station we get off at and where...
Get out of town!
And we realized that his parents lived like 2 blocks away from our parents.
Isn't that wild?
And then the best part is, especially being a bass player, Stacey's not that distantly related to Geddy Lee from Rush.
Ah, that's the jewel. Okay, see, that's what they're using it
for. He's got to be a good bass player.
Wow. Wow.
Can you sing like him too?
I'm working on it.
You guys should have him be in your video. Wouldn't that be cool?
Just all you got to do is pay him $10.
You know what? And do a video when in the dead, freezing winter in LA. Pay for his flight. He's there. He'll do it. Just to get out of the cold. He'll do it.
Plus, he's your cousin. For God's sake.
Come on, he's blood. Has the mic been
I just switched the mic off by
time?
accident.
Okay. So,
we're going to start the interview over again.
Is at the Hideout, and what time and what day?
October 31st.
Right on Halloween.
Right on Halloween.
That's a Wednesday?
8:40,
20, 30, 40.
And how many sets are you doing? A whole night or just?
No,
we keep it short.
Okay.
Short and sweet.
All right. Well,
but there's a big party before and after.
They're union
Where?
workers.
At the Hideout?
Yeah, we're figuring.
We might take it to a friend's apartment or something.
What a perfect thing to do on Halloween, right down in the middle of Queen Street.
Exactly.
At the Hideout, wearing Halloween costumes.
And you can wear a costume or not, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is Gabriel going to be wearing a costume?
We'll all be in costume.
Good. Then I'll still
Do you guys
never
know
what
what you're
like.
going as yet? Wait. Do you guys know what you're going as yet?
That's a surprise.
But it's good.
Okay, guys. So we're going to watch the video now, but if people want to buy the record or just follow up with you guys,
it's actually not released yet, but you could reach us for anything. It's Menage, MENAGE, theband.com, and all our contact and all our family gossip and everything is there.
Right. Okay, guys.
Reality show.
Thanks as always.
Online.
Lots of fun. And this is the video, and we're going to come back right after this and talk about the Power Expo. So Liquid Lunch continues with Menage right now.
moi. Surtout ne dis rien.
Hey, it's me, and
Dis-moi
I don't know how to tell you this.
Je veux t'entendre parler il y a trop longtemps. Ça va? Comment ça va?
Can we say feedback?
No, we can't. Because there's no feedback.
I didn't hear anything.
For if there was feedback, which indeed there isn't, it would have been taken out in editing.
Yes.
Which people won't even realize
Yes.
until after it's too late.
Because editing, anything can happen in editing. Everything can be fixed in editing.
Well, not everything, but that's another story.
You can only airbrush so much, right?
Okay, listen, we got Trish Robichaud and Brent Jones here, who are both speaking and presenting at the Power Expo that's coming up in Toronto. When is it exactly, guys, before we get into the nitty-gritty?
Yeah, the event is coming up next week. It's going to be on spanning over 2 days, October 17th and 18th. So that's Thursday and Wednesday next week. The Wednesday session will be running from 2 o'clock until 8 o'clock. And Thursday will be from 9 a.m. Until 8 p.m. So it'll be a full day on the Wednesday. It's also going to be held at the Metropolitan Center in Scarborough, which is at the corner of Kennedy and Finch.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's a very interesting name, Power Expo.
I don't know if you guys have any insight into where the name came from, because you're not organizing it.
Correct.
But you guys are speaking at it.
That's right. That's right. The powerful part about it is the collection of different minds and different skill sets, and really where all these messages are coming from, who they're directed to. I mean, we're going to have everybody there from from entrepreneurs, career professionals, people who are looking for change and transition in their career, maybe to do something a little bit different. Bottom line, people who are looking to make a shift, make a change. And there's a lot of power to that. And especially, I know Trish is going to go a little more detail into some of the speakers that we're going to have there and what that's going to look like. But this is for people who are serious about really stepping up and making some changes and focusing on personal growth.
Which is really timely right now, because a lot of people have been laid off or lost their jobs, and they're just kind of in a quandary. What do I do? They're in that transition.
And very many of them, Sandra, have lost momentum.
Yeah.
And motivation.
And motivation, I think, it's spirit,
and even hopeless. Okay?
Yeah.
So the Power Expo is really about turning the power back on. Our logo is a power button. And that's intended as such, because very often we get paralyzed by situations that have arisen in our careers, whether that's as a result of a downsize, or maybe it's just that maybe your spouse has lost a job, so you're down to one income, or you've had to move as a result of your work, because that's being demanded now, right?
Well, I know people, Trish, that have been at a company for 35 years and were let go. I know a handful of people in that situation. That is so demoralizing. And then there's a psychological element to that too, because they thought that they had the loyalty to their company, and the company just, after 35 years, let them go.
It's a tough spot that people get in, and that's what the theme of my workshop is about. It's about how to stay employable, about upgrading your skills. So many people inadvertently end up writing their own pink slip. They don't even realize over time that if you're in a career like graphic design, that's changed a lot. From the 1970s to 2012, where we are now, there's so much change that goes into that. So the whole idea behind my workshop is to be able to take people, whether they're in that spot or they're approaching that spot. I mean, the best time to make sure you're sharpening skills to be employable is when you're employed, ideally. But if not, here's some actionable steps we can take to make sure you're putting yourself in the best possible position if you got laid off tomorrow, if your company closed, if whatever it happened to be, right?
Yeah. Wow, that sounds really, really, really valuable.
Really cool, totally free event, as long as they register online prior to the event. If they just show up at the door, walk-ins would be $10 a head.
Okay, so that's reasonable.
For admittance.
A day, right? $10 a day.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So go pre-register.
Pre-register.
Absolutely,
right?
and they can do that at powerexpo.net.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. Is this put on by the government by any chance, or is this a private affair?
No, it's being funded by 3 private individuals who have some background in HR that are keenly aware that our communities are struggling, people are struggling with work. And so they really wanted to do something to inject some new life into our communities. And so bringing together a host of our most exciting speaker is going to be Kim Marie Redman, and she is actually the only board certified NLP practitioner in Canada. Wow. And she's going to be doing a full 2-hour workshop on manifesting change in your life through using NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. So we're really excited about having Kim.
And which day is she on?
And she is going to be speaking on the Thursday from 10 a.m. to noon.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
We also have a silver Olympian from the 2010 Olympic Winter Games. And her name is Shelly Ann Brown. She was our women's bobsled team #2 and won she's actually the first Black Canadian to win a gold medal at the Olympics.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, so we're pretty excited about that.
So you have a lot of motivational type stuff going on too.
Definitely, a lot of motivational stuff, but we also have a variety of workshops that are more strategy minded. Okay, so we have Susan Brady, and she's going to be talking about how to build a 6-figure income from home. All right, we gotta love that.
Let's hope that doesn't include the pennies.
Exactly. That'd be a lot of work.
Now, which day is that?
I don't have that in front of me. I apologize.
Okay.
But powerexpo.net.
Has the entire schedule?
Everything,
correct,
the schedules.
yes.
If you click on the registration page, you will get an agenda, and you'll see exactly when everyone is speaking and what the topics for their workshops are.
Nice.
Why don't, while we're talking about speakers, why don't you touch a little bit on your workshop and kind of what you're speaking about? And,
okay.
And, you know.
I am a business automation coach. Specifically, I work with people with chronic health conditions, entrepreneurs who have decided they needed to be self-employed as opposed to working corporate. And I work with anybody in terms of entrepreneurs, but specifically people who guard their energy well as a result of their health. So I'm going to be talking about business automation strategy, how to leverage technology to take back some time that's being sucked into your business, how to work on your business instead of in your business by automating your processes. So are you talking about,
okay, so streamlining and making, like having procedures, computer procedures that make that do the work for you?
Exactly.
It's like you get up in the morning, ultimately, press a button on your computer and take the rest of the day off. That's the ultimate in
that would be the ultimate.
Wow.
I'm not sure we're at the ultimate.
That's a lot of pressure. No pressure, Trish. No pressure on that one, because you'd be having a lineup waiting to get into your talk if that was.
Absolutely. But there are definitely strategies that people can leverage to bring regular, consistent leads into their business using automation tools on their website.
So you're going to give some specific tools, specific technologies or stuff.
And I'm a crazy junkie for the free stuff. So wherever I can, so I'll be focusing stuff that's little or no cost.
And then for your talk, Trish, like who's the ideal? Like, are these entrepreneurs?
Yes, for my workshop is mostly going to be entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Or people who are just thinking even about moving from corporate to starting a business on the side part-time until they can transition in there.
Yeah, because it seems that's the big long-term trend, really, is towards an entrepreneurship economy. Period. Right? They're even talking about entrepreneurship within organizations.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Wow. I've read a lot of stats on, seriously, that it is the self-employed amongst us that save this economy.
That's the backbone of it.
Absolutely. Small business is the engine of Ontario anyway.
It is.
That I know.
Always has been,
Yeah. And that's really interesting. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there are 360,000 businesses in Ontario, and the vast majority, I'm ballpark number, 60 to 70% of those are self-employed businesses.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we have a huge potential impact on our economy.
Now, is this your first time you're doing the Power Expo?
Yes, actually, this is my first time. Yours?
Mine as well. Yep.
Yes.
Is it the first time it's being put on?
Yes, I believe it is. Yes, it is. This is our premier event, and I understand there's another being launched in the spring. We're already planning another in the spring. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
right.
great. So feedback must be pretty positive to already be starting to.
Absolutely,
for the
absolutely.
next
There
one.
will be we have vendors, so there's going to be a marketplace there of vendors who provide services to people who are in this segment of the population.
Very nice.
As well as our multitude of speakers, and there's also going to be. You want to talk about the event? The
Power,
event.
yeah, the Power Awards. So we have, there's an awards component to it as well. We'll be giving away a couple of awards. And one of the really cool things about the awards portion of it is that anybody can be nominated even from age 6 and up, which is a pretty cool thing. And I'll touch on what the 3 awards are. The first Power Award is a Mentor Excellence Award to nominate a mentor who's made a difference, who's been able to empower you. The second being a New Entrepreneur Award, and this is the interesting one for ages 6, 7, 8. But I mean, young entrepreneurs come out and surprise us all the time with different ideas, innovations. And the third one is a Social Media Award for promoting the event as well. And so those awards are, I think the deadline for submission to nominate somebody is October the 12th. So that's this 12th, Friday, yeah. Right? Okay. So Friday at the end of the day. That can also be done online, powerexpo.net, registration, and also for nominations there too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you're out there and you're in the GTA and you're feeling the least bit stagnant in what you're doing right now, please come down and join us. Yeah. And we'll be really excited to see you there and meet everyone.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Just, you mentioned that a lot of people are potentially losing hope or just not in a great frame of mind. They're kind of don't know what to do next, or they're just not motivated or inspired to do anything. Like for those kind of people that are kind of thinking, oh yeah, they just don't even have enough motivation maybe even to even come to the event. What can you tell them?
I'd recommend they should at least check out the website. I think there's a lot of content and a lot of value there that we don't have time to go into today about what the full agenda entails. The backgrounds of some of the speakers are incredible, that we're going to have. And I think at least taking a look at it, you register for free. There's really nothing to lose by checking out the event. It could be exactly the catalyst that somebody needs to be able to make a change, make a first step.
And I also find too, sometimes when you read the bios of these people, it actually does inspire you to go, even if you're not thinking or you're that inspired to go before you start to go to the website. After you start to read some of this, it kind of almost is contagious and can be enough to get you over that hump where you don't want to go to where you now really want to go.
Absolutely.
I think
taking action is never easy. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, it's like even if you choose to go instead of not go, you're changing your timeline.
Absolutely.
You're changing. Yes, you are.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
You are stepping into a completely new paradigm when you expose yourself to new concepts and inspirational source.
Well, and also too, just to talk to others, it's also a support place as well, because you're meeting other people who are down and out too.
The network component.
Not that they're all down and out.
No, but they feel down and out. There's no
Some of them may feel.
I actually think
there's merit to that.
Quote, down and out, unquote.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a Power Expo. Now we're making it sound like everybody's going to be miserable and drained of energy. And come down, we'll plug you back in.
What I mean by that, let me qualify that. What I mean by that is actually, I think when people are down and out, quote unquote, that's actually the most powerful time to create change. Mac or Apple, Steve Jobs, and Windows were started during the recession.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's, if you have any kind of courage at all, this is the time to actually start something, not when things are going great, right? So this can be the catalyst that actually really changes, and that's why down and out really doesn't mean down and out.
Or the only time to do anything is now, right? So don't wait till the next recession.
Yeah,
that's right.
Or don't, even if you're feeling great and everything's going good, but if you want to do your own business, which everybody really should, I think. And
I think everybody really has a burning desire to do that.
Well, aside from even there's obviously the entrepreneurial part of it is there, career advancement, personal growth. I mean, we even have workshops on health and fitness, and making those kind of transitions.
From the whole spirit, the physical.
Juggling careers with parenthood. I mean, there really is a variety of messages, and I think, in my opinion, they cater to both left and right brain people, right? So depending whether you are the person whether you want to be informed and educated or you want to be, you know, motivated, inspired, I mean, I think we have messages to accomplish both of those things. So the biggest recommendation I'd have, the strongest point I think anyone will take out of it is the networking component to it, is support, not all just for down and out, but that's one of the key things I review in the workshop is going over, you know, in terms of staying employable, you got to constantly have fresh contacts, make sure you're networking, meeting people. This very event itself is really one of the things I'm promoting in my workshop, is that you need to, you know, we need to keep meeting people, making new contacts, making sure you're exploring your industry fully. So
absolutely. And this event is definitely going to be coming from out of the box, because it's not your typical business conference. We're appealing to a number of different target markets, but ultimately all of those target markets are probably at a similar place in their life right now, feeling kind of complacent, feeling like they want something more, they're not sure how they're going to make that happen. And Power Expo is about how to turn the power on, and that's what we're hoping to do.
Very nice. So so no down and out. You're up and in.
No, we're up and in.
Well, listen, guys. While you're here and you're both involved, you're going to both be presenting at this thing. Like, let's just talk about that. Like, how do people turn the power on?
How did you do it?
Like, what are some ideas you can give people right now? Maybe this will be enough to get people to actually come out to the conference, but also just get people motivated to just take that.
Well, you've got a very personal answer. I mean, why don't you, you know?
Turning the power on, as far as I'm concerned, is really about change. Because as long as we continue to do the same things, we're going to get the same results, right? And so we have to do something different. So exposing ourselves to a new message, exposing ourselves to somebody who has a potential to motivate us, exposing ourselves to books, workshops. Heck, if you can't get out, man, find a webinar online, something, you know, expose yourself to new knowledge. Change, I like to say that the pain of change is only bearable when the pain of staying the same is unbearable. Well, guess what? There's a lot of people out there right now that are feeling quite unbearable in their lives. So you know what? And the other really cool piece is the further you step outside your comfort zone, the more potential there is for growth. So if I only step out wee bit potential for growth. But if I step way out, there's a potential there for quite a metamorphosis.
So heck, jump into the abyss.
Exactly.
Well, and I can say, you know, just from my own personal experience, there have been times when I just didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to go to that event or go to that thing, and I've gone, and miraculous things have happened.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I know
it takes courage to do that, or is it desperation that really?
Sometimes that's a motivator, and that's okay.
Well, sometimes, unfortunately, I mean, what ends up empowering people is getting into a spot where they have no choice but to change, you know, and sometimes I imagine that maybe, you know, some of the audience that we have, I mean, some are very proactively looking for change, but most people, it takes that spot of, you know, losing that career position after 30 years or whatever it is. For myself and being a speaker at this event and my blog, and it's all very personal for me in the sense that, you know, as I was growing up, I watched my father go through that exact thing, and, you know, career change after more than 20 years with the same company. Saw the impact it had in our family, and you know, and he put in a lot of obviously time and effort to be able to make the changes, you know, that he had to. But that was a point, like you just touched on. It was the desperation part of it, and like you're forced in that point. You have to make a change. So a lot of the Power Expo, the empowering part of it, is focusing around how do we. You know, how do we make sure that we're making the right changes, we're growing, so that we don't end up in that situation where we have no choice. Right?
Yeah, it's interesting because. I mean, Sandra teaches a course, and one of the things I think that you've mentioned or somebody's mentioned is that sometimes the universe, you know, if you're not making those right choices yourself, the universe is going to back you up against that wall where you have to take some kind of an action.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And you know what? Confusion is the greatest state for change, right? And that's the down and out we were referring to. It's that, you know, when you have nowhere else but to go up, that's when you're most open to, you know, because obviously what you're doing is not working. So maybe the universe, maybe it's time to say, okay, you know what?
There's got to be a better way.
Yeah. So you show me.
And it's when you go to an event of this magnitude, of this potential power, that I truly believe that you open yourselves up to the power of the universe, of your higher power, bringing the opportunities for synergy and synchronicity into your life. If you stay in the office, you stay inside your little box, that is not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, God is not going to come knocking on your door and walk you out of the office. You have to get out there yourself. So it's important to give yourself that opportunity.
All right. Now, is there anything else we should let people know about the conference? Any other aspects to it or speakers?
Just in terms of speakers, we also have a gentleman by the name of Robert Valley, and he's going to be talking about Speak and Impress. So he's teaching people about public speaking. We also have a gentleman, James Burgess, from Focus 31.
I know James.
Do you? Yes. There you go. Awesome.
Focus 31?
From Focus 31.
Okay.
And R. Anthony Warner speaking on mentorship, which is such, you know, honest to God, that's a whole new segment right there. I just discovered this show called The Voice. I'm calling this social opportunity because we're empowering people who have money and whatnot to share with others. Mentorship is just awesome. I just love that. Finally, Carolyn Dickinson, on balancing motherhood and being a brand new entrepreneur. So that would be an interesting topic.
Yes. Yeah. It's like the superwoman.
Absolutely. Yes.
And how to be able to be a superwoman and still wake up in the morning.
I can't even imagine. My kids are grown and kids of their own and everything. So my biggest challenge when I started my own business was my husband retired the year before, or the year after. So that went from me having the whole house and office to myself to husband sharing the space. So that in itself is a huge adjustment.
I've heard many a horror story.
You should have bought him a set of golf clubs.
Yeah, you know what I said? Go build yourself a workshop, please. And he built a big, huge workshop in the backyard, and that's where I find him now.
Oh, nice. Great. At least you found a solution.
Yes,
Good for you.
Exactly.
Good for you.
Exactly.
Okay, guys. So people can check it out and register for free at powerexpo.net.
That's right.
And do you guys have websites, or you mentioned you blog, Brent, that people might want to follow up with you guys personally?
Yeah, I would love it if they did. My blog is at jobgettingtips.com. Jobgettingtips.com.
Job getting?
Getting, yeah.
Okay.
Getting, jobgettingtips.com. And you can certainly visit the site, subscribe to the mailing list, get some new articles and tools when they come out to help job seekers. At the event itself, I'm going to be giving away some print copies of my ebook that I've written as well, 7 Fatal Mistakes Made by Most Job Applicants. It's a really cool resource because it outlines a lot of career myths, what career advice experts are teaching that doesn't necessarily align with how to actually get the job. So there is a digital copy that can be downloaded online from the blog. There's a little download link on the right-hand side. So if you want kind of a
sneak peek before the event, certainly you can check it out, download it online as well.
Nice,
okay, great.
Nice.
Okay, and Trish, do you have a site?
I'm at changingpaces.com. That's paces as in steps, slowing down. Changingpaces.com. And I am very much about maximizing quality of life in spite of current existing health challenges. I'm a life coach, business coach, technology coach. And I'll teach you how to build a website so you can express yourself, how to do a WordPress installation so that you can express yourself online.
Great.
And build your own brand.
Okay.
Wow.
Really important.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys
Thank you very much for having us.
Thanks so much for having us.
to do this
Appreciate
too.
it. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been fun.
So again, that's October 17th and 18th.
That's
right?
correct.
Up at Finch and Kennedy.
Finch and Kennedy.
And check, all the info is available at powerexpo.net.
That's
it.
right.
Okay, guys.
Wow, you can read your writing.
Yes, I can. Okay, we're going to take a little break and come back. Shawn Dalton is here. So, geez, what do we have? Do you want to see? Let's watch this video about how to free yourselves from the smart grid.
From the smart grid.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Free energy.
You put a story out there, it's wrong, but what the heck? We're going to go with it. We're going to look you straight in the eye, and we're going to lie to you. What are you going to do about it?
Is raising new questions tonight about the accuracy of PG&E's controversial new smart meters.
People all over the state have been complaining about inflated bills.
Her bill was $873.
Does not save energy, so smart grids miss the mark on energy savings.
It's all about money. We're going to be charged for time of use one day. It's coming.
And they're going to start having a profile of you as an individual. how you use your time, how you spend your energy, what you think.
Right down to the micro level. I mean, this is control freakery. It is the wet dream of the technocrats.
You've got massive data storage areas that never existed before, specifically to accommodate the accumulation of this kind of knowledge.
The next thing we know, people are walking up in the early morning hours to people's houses, taking off the analog meters and putting on the smart meters without telling anybody.
And now there are real concerns that they can blow a fuse, even explode, and put those homes at risk.
Half a dozen smart meters across 1 to 2 suburbs have exploded.
422 fires were discovered as a byproduct of the smart meter installation.
The smart meter had blown up. It looked like it had exploded.
Hydro's billion-dollar smart meter program wrote back saying it's not responsible for any loss, injury, damage, or expense.
The evidence gets stronger and stronger that there are adverse health effects that these regulatory agencies can no longer deny.
I can't tell you how many people have called me who became dreadfully ill the minute one of those got put on their house.
The smart meter stopped my heart completely.
The smart meter was installed. Within weeks, the patient has a dramatic downturn in brain function. He was no longer able to walk. 6 months later, he died.
We've given them consent by being quiet. We can't afford to be quiet. This is a game changer.
People are rising up and they're finally saying, no, we have to take back our power in all sense of the word.
Hi there, I'm Trish Robichaud here with Brent Jones, and we are very excited to be hosting a workshop at the Power Expo being held on October 17th and 18th at the Metropolitan Center in Scarborough near the corner of Kennedy and Finch. If you're looking to be informed, inspired, encouraged, and to be motivated to get going and make it happen for your life now, whatever that happens to be, then you'll want to register online at powerexpo.net to obtain your free admission to this two-day expo, or you can join us at the door for $10.
We'll be having workshops and special speakers covering such topics as business and personal development, health and fitness, finance, public speaking, job skill upgrades and market trends, and how to automate your business and website, optimization, and how to balance parenthood and entrepreneurism, and much more. And you don't want to miss our keynote speaker, Kim Marie Redmond's workshop on Thursday morning starting at 10 a.m., where she'll be presenting on leadership, passion, and connection, the success secrets.
So again, join us for the Power Expo on October 17th and 18th at the Metropolitan Center near Kennedy and Finch. Go to the website at powerexpo.net and also check out our Power Awards, as there's still time to be involved. Be there, bring a friend, and change your life for the better. Now is your time.
Good? Thanks.
We're heading to one of the most densely populated places in the world, Hong Kong. Look past the sea of people, and you'll discover that it has more to offer than just tall buildings. Surrounded by mountainous terrain and the South China Sea, Hong Kong is one of the busiest port cities. It is also a major business and cultural hub, a cosmopolitan center where East meets West. But with 7 million inhabitants, its most precious commodity is space. And the lack of space is what shaped architect Gary Chang's green philosophy.
I was studying architecture long before I enrolled in architecture. It's a necessity for me because I have to learn how to cope with the tight space.
Following the Hong Kong principle of utilizing every inch of available space, Gary decided not to give up the tiny tenement apartment where he and his large family used to live.
One room for my parents and one room for my 3 younger sisters.
And in typical Hong Kong fashion, they also had a tenant who slept in the 3rd bedroom.
And actually, I have to stay in the living rooms, which is more or less like a corridor. It's a very common scene for most families in Hong Kong. People are living in a very tight space.
A lifetime experience of small space living allowed Gary to create a truly unique, eco-friendly residence. The most surprising aspect of this ultra-hip apartment is its size. Only 330 square feet.
Small area, but for us, small area means efficiency and user-friendliness.
And he sacrificed nothing in livability, nicknaming it Domestic Transformer. By using a futuristic sliding wall system, Gary can make any room anything he wants.
The house transforms, and I'm always here. I don't move. The house moves for me.
So what appears to be just a simple wall can be moved to reveal a linen closet, which in turn can be moved to reveal a soaker bathtub and a pull-down guest bed above. This ingenious use of space enables this apartment to have up to 24 different combinations. The tiny space is naturally bathed in a warm golden light that shines through the 3 floor-to-ceiling tinted windows.
Make me feel happy and warm. My home is always sunny, even in gloomy weather. I practically don't need to turn on any light most of the time.
Using his unique sliding wall system, one room can be quickly transformed into another.
Most of the walls could move, so there will be a lot of tracks on the ceiling and wheels on the floor. Actually, that's why I put a mirror there, to make the tracks become less conspicuous.
The mirrors not only create the illusion of more space, but offer an eco-advantage as well. The combined reflective metal and glass surfaces work to increase the light value within the apartment. So a slide here and a pull there, and Gary's bedroom takes shape.
It's very important that the bed disappears, because otherwise the bed is always occupying the most dominant area of the home, especially if it's so small.
After a good night's rest, it's time to head to the kitchen, which is found right behind the TV.
The kitchen, in terms of actual length, is pretty compact. It's only 2 meters wide. I'm able to stuff in all the necessary equipments, maximizing the space as well.
There is one room left that Gary still hasn't shown us. The screening room, equipped with its very own hammock. Wedged into the busy Hong Kong skyline, Gary Chang's Domestic Transformer is a technological marvel. And it also demonstrates the green principle that even a small space has huge eco possibilities.
In a drawer. Or maybe you do. We'll have to review the video.
It has to be pretty big. A pretty big drawer.
Oh, it's big enough.
Okay. Okay.
As long as it's big enough.
Okay. That's it.
Okay. We're here now with Shawn Dalton. Today we're talking about the sell-off of corporate Canada.
Absolutely.
Right, Shawn? It's a big issue.
This is a happy subject.
Yeah, it's
it's a happy subject, but either we bury our head in the sand with it about it, or we ignore it, or we
So would we say that at this point Canada's down and out, so it's time to turn it off?
Shawn, why don't you give us an introduction to this whole thing?
The great Peter Lougheed, who was in charge for 42 years in the province of Alberta, recently passed away, and there was a huge memorial thing on CPAC Canada.
I saw a bit of it.
Yeah, so did I. Watched, Stephen Harper was there. They all spoke about how great he was.
Yeah.
And I think Stephen Harper should take some of his advice, which is very, very good. In fact, Brad Wall talked to Peter Lougheed when the BHP Billington wanted to acquire potash. Mm-hmm. And the question they asked him was, whose assets are these? And Brad Wall said, well, they belong to the Canadians. So based on that, Brad Wall blocked the acquisition of BHP's bid for potash, right?
Potash Corporation.
Yeah, and Quebec blocked the Rona acquisition by Lowe's.
Yeah.
So they did that. That's the first time in history I've ever seen some spine by Canadian premiers say, no, you don't. Like you can't just buy everything.
Yeah.
The point of trade is to sell products and services, not to sell off the corporate assets of our country, right? And we've been doing that for quite a long time.
Is this the whole NAFTA thing?
Well,
it sometimes when you sign trade agreements, it puts us at a disadvantage because it basically allows I'll give you an example. The Nexen bid that's on the table. Scotiabank wanted to buy a Chinese bank about 15 months ago. It's still waiting to hear back from them, right? So there's a thing called reciprocity. Like, if you are allowed to buy our companies, we should be allowed to buy yours.
So what's happening, just to get people clear about this, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you're talking about Scotiabank wanted to buy a Chinese bank.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're still waiting to hear about it.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, Chinese companies are trying to buy a big oil sands company called Nexen.
Absolutely, they've been snapping up smaller firms.
So you gotta believe that the reason they're still waiting is because China doesn't want to do it, but they don't want to say no because they don't want to create any kind of animosity. Correct?
Well, absolutely, and it's a clash of styles. Like the Chinese government's a repressive, totalitarian regime, whereas our country, as for better for worse, is a liberal democracy. You know, so there's a difference between how we treat other people
and do business and conduct business, because if you're not
over,
interested, just say you're not interested.
You know, I would like to read a section of this book, if possible. It's called What is Canada For? Intent for a Nation by Michael Byers. He holds the Canadian Research Chair in Global Politics and International Law at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver.
And how recent is this book? When was it published? Is it recent or?
Well, it's 2007.
Okay.
So,
relatively recent.
You mind if I read a little bit?
Sure.
It's not too much, okay. Quote, indeed, over half of all manufacturing in Canada is foreign-owned, a level more than 3 times higher than any other major industrialized country. And in the first 6 months of 2006 alone, 49 major Canadian companies with a combined value of $93 billion were sold to foreign investors. The list of recent sell-offs is a roll call of leading Canadian brands. In addition to Fairmont Hotels in the Bay, 2 of Canada's largest mining companies are gone. Falconbridge to Switzerland's Xtara, Inco to Brazilian's CVRD, Hamilton-based Stelco Dofasco was sold to Luxembourg's Accelerator SA, Guelph-based Sleeman Breweries to Japan's Sapporo Breweries, and you remember Labatt's got sold to Interbrew of Belgium.
Yep.
Oh,
and
okay.
Coors bought Molson, right?
Yeah.
So there goes the Canadian brewerist industry. Vinecore, our largest winemaker, went to New York-based Constellation Brands. Thornhill's ATI Technologies, a world leader in the production of graphics chips, was sold to the California-based Advanced Micro Devices, which was their competitor. The Raytheon chip competed with the their other product, right? Now that there's duplication of products, they'll just consolidate product brands, shut down one line, fire all the researchers, you know?
Yeah.
2 sales forces, they don't need that either. They'll fire one set. 2 head offices, they'll close down one. I mean, there's lots of jobs to these things.
No wonder a lot of these people are going to have to go to the Power Expo.
Yeah. Montreal-based Domtar, the last largest Canadian-owned producer of paper, to Weyerhaeuser, the U.S.-based forestry giant. British Columbia Intrawest, the proprietor of Whistler Blackcomb Ski Resort, went to the New York-based Fortress Investment Group. Just think about it. Even the principal site of the 2010 Winter Olympics now belongs to foreigners. It's not as if other countries don't restrict foreign investment. In January 2006, the Bush administration gave permission for Dubai Ports World, the world's largest marine terminal operator, to purchase 6 major port operations in the United States. News of the deal sparked a firestorm of protest in Congress, where the fact that Dubai World Ports is based in the United Arab Emirates was cited as cause for concern about possible links with terrorism. As a result of the pressure, the company eventually agreed to sell the assets to a U.S.-based investment group. In 2005, China National Offshore Oil Corporation, which is the one building for Nexen right now, made a bid to purchase Unicol, which was also blocked by Congress. The company was eventually sold to another U.S. oil company. The potential pitfall of foreign investment goes far beyond security concerns. Such investments can erode a country's domestic tax base as profits are shifted offshore through creative accounting, including by overpriced goods and services supplied by foreign companies that belong to the same proprietor. Foreign-owned companies are also less likely to act as good corporate citizens. They have less incentive to invest in the arts, sponsor local sports teams, fund scholarships and internships, or encourage workers and managers to play active roles in the local community. Although some foreign-owned companies do make token gestures, they are unlikely to have the same loyalties as domestically owned firms. I worked for a domestically owned security company, and it got bought by a large multinational, and everyone wanted to quit. They brought in other workers who were cheaper in nature, who would work for less money, and they didn't tell you they wanted to fire you, but eventually you felt, unnecessary.
Like constructive dismissal, as they call it,
But
right?
I mean, you talk about this kind of stuff, Shawn, and I know you sort of support the Conservative government in Ottawa. Well,
I haven't voted for them, but I might vote if they start blocking these bids. I might vote.
Well,
for
they're
them.
not. To me, one of the big things that I recall that happened within the Harper government is that the Stelco. You mentioned Stelco in that list. Got sold to. I thought it was an American company that bought them. But anyway, Stelco has been shut down in Hamilton, even though the agreement originally was they promised the government and the people of Hamilton and the workers that they would keep the factory going, and they just decided not to fulfill their commitment.
Those are some of the consequences of selling off a Canadian corporate asset to a foreign investor.
Right. But the government did nothing about it. the government did not hold them accountable.
Sometimes they can't, though,
to their agreement.
Because of the NAFTA agreement.
And they should open up that plant again. Somebody should open it up and start competing with them and block their imports.
Well, you know, here's the thing, okay? Deals, contracts can be broken. And they're broken every day, right? So we can say, yes, you know, China's buying this, or, you know, Brazil bought Inco. But any single time we can say, you know what? Deal's off. Now, I don't care what the contract is, because just as you said, there was a contract that they were supposed to keep the jobs open, and they didn't. So what's to say we can say, you know what, we're just changing, and anything that is on Canadian soil belongs to Canada. Sorry, we're taking everything back.
I bet if we had referendums on these things, they would happen less likely, and the government would be pay more attention to the local electorate instead of just steamroll us with whatever decision they think they should make, because the political elite think they should tell us what our opinion is instead of ask us what it might be. And there's a huge difference between how Canadians feel about, you know, they feel a lot of anxiety about this. Yeah, this is an unpopular thing.
Well, this is an I mean,
the Canadians that know, though, the small percentage of Canadians that actually know.
Quite a few know actually about it. You know, but Canadians are really upset about it. Even the Premier of Alberta, Alison Redford, she sounded wobbly when she talked. Like, she sounded like she wasn't sure if she should promote it or deny it. Like, she was kind of taking a half.
Sitting on the fence.
She seemed a little bit uncomfortable. Well, she sounded like, you know, this was like a major thing, like that she had been bombarded with some kind of email from people, and it sounded like she'd been shaken up by it. She wasn't telling us what shook her up, but it was kind of obvious she wasn't, you know, really confident about the takeover of that company. Like, because obviously there's concerns about it, and it's rattled her a little bit because she has to get reelected. She's a politician. She needs the votes, right? And if, you know, people don't like it, then she'll lose her job, and she doesn't want to lose her job. So she has to take that into consideration. Brad Wall didn't seem to care. He blocked the BHP Billington bid. Quebec didn't care. They blocked the Rona bid.
So why do some block it and some don't?
Because
why do some?
Rona has suppliers in the local industries, and if Lowe's buys it, they'll use their suppliers, and it'll wipe out tens of thousands of jobs. They don't talk about these things, about the or about, you know.
So
as
if you dig deeper.
Absolutely. Have you guys ever read this book, Jack Layton, Speaking Out Louder?
How does that work?
Do you mind if I read a little section out of this?
Okay.
Okay. From 1985 to 2002, foreign corporations applied to the Industry Canada's Investment Review Division for the takeover of 10,052 Canadian companies. Not a single takeover was rejected, not one. Out of the new foreign investment spending in Canada during that time, only 3.4% was actually used for new business investment in real machinery, factories, or buildings. A staggering 96.6% went to foreign takeovers. Is this really what we mean when we talk about encouraging investment in Canada? Question mark. You know.
Well, that's okay. So, but now they used to have something called the Foreign Investment Review Agency.
Yeah, and under that was one of Trudeau's few policies. It elevated the Canadian-owned companies from about 21 to about 30% over a time period. But when Mulroney came in, he scrapped it for another one, and then, you know, this started happening.
Well, again. I don't see any signs that this current government is going to take a step to protect Canadian ownership. Everything I see they're doing is deregulate, let foreign owners come in, take over Canadian companies, do what they want, just as they let that happen in Hamilton with Selco.
It's dangerous. It's hazardous to local employment.
Of course it is, which gets me to think, like, who is the government really serving?
And
whether the Liberal government of Paul Martin or whether it's this Conservative government, it seems they're really serving corporate interests, global corporate interests, rather than Canadian, the interests of the people of Canada.
You're right. It's completely unethical. One of the things that, one of the other concerns is, we're second last in the OECD countries when it comes to productivity. Canada invests 1% in R&D, whereas other countries like the States, South Korea, Germany, or Israel, or other first world nations invest 2.5% to 3.5%. The reason is they get more because they invest more. They take more risks. They roll the dice more often. We need to start doing that. We need to start coming together as one group of people and creating the opportunities of tomorrow, or else these companies will be gone forever. And
you know, I heard that same argument 20, 30, 40 years ago. That Canada's, you know, very low on the R&D stuff, and yet, how many governments have we had? We've been talking about this for so long. Why aren't these things changing? You know, we've had changes of government. They could have done something different.
I think that's part of the whole Canadian mentality. We're so nice. We're pushovers. People just kind of You know, we're almost not there. You know, we're almost non-existent because we're so quiet and polite.
It's good that we're becoming more self-critical, though. Like, I see changes happening. I see a backlash happening, and it's, even though it's slow, maybe within a 20-year period, we'll be a better country. I'm optimistic, you know. We have to pressure Harper.
Are you optimistic,
I am.
Sean?
I think we have to send an email to Mr. Paradis, you know, the trade minister, and say, like, I sent him an email and said, don't sell the product, not the company. And there is a difference. Once the company is sold, you have nothing left.
You're
sell
selling
the product.
people, right? If you sell the company, you sell the people.
Absolutely, and they know the difference too. They're not, you know, they're very intelligent people. So if enough people do that, they're going to change their mind because they'll lose votes if they don't. You know, Alison Redford was, you know, rocked. This really rocked Alison Redford. Like, if the Wild Rose Alliance made this a campaign issue, I bet you any money they would be close to defeating her in the next election. You know, because it's a hot issue.
I think it must be difficult, though, for a conservative government in Alberta to stand up against a foreign takeover like this, because I think that in general the policy of the Conservatives is to let business do business, right?
Whatever that means.
So for them to come up, like the least likely party to come in and set up foreign investment requirements is the Conservative Party.
It's the 8th largest energy company in Canada. Like, Nexon's it's not a startup company. It's not like GM or Ford coming into Canada and creating a branch plant, you know, to build that'll create jobs, right? They're taking over a $15 billion company that's already profitable. It's already got armies of employees.
But you're saying other countries are doing this too, though. The U.S. is doing this.
Well, they're more likely to block it. Germany blocks acquisitions.
So have we bought anything? Okay, we're selling our stuff. Have we bought anything in terms of
taken over other countries' stuff?
Do we know of anything?
Yeah, there are.
Canadian banks do. Scotia banks in 66 countries. They've taken over quite a few banks. One of the books I'm working on is how the Canadian banks took over the country. Scotia Bank's done that. Royal Bank's done that. But we protect the banks. You can only own up to 20% of any given bank, right? So that gives them the ability to.
So why aren't we going out and buying mines? Or
Absolutely.
Why are we going out and doing? Are we?
We should.
Some of that going on.
We should protect what we have and then expand what we, you know, if we should.
But you see, if we do that, if we protect what we have and then buy from others, and we're doing the same thing we're accusing others of doing. Yeah. Why can't we all just be happy with our own little thing?
We need to be more like Americans and less wimpy. We need to be more assertive and more aggressive. We need to put our own self-interest ahead of corporate.
This is what I was talking about, how we're so polite. We're kind of pushovers. We can be taken.
I think it's changing.
You think it's changing?
I think it is.
Really?
Absolutely. Okay. I'm gonna say right now that I believe that, and I could be wrong, but I'd like to believe that Harper's going to block the Nexon bid. They're going to come out and say it's not a net benefit to Canada, because it's taken so long.
When will we find out, Sean?
Really soon, like this week or next week.
Oh, really?
I'll be really upset if and Progressive Energy is also on the table. It's a $3.8 billion energy company. They want to buy that one too. I think not China. Was it?
I'll tell you what. You know, it's just about that Nexon thing. I hope you're right, but I bet that Harper will just let it go through and show his true colors. And then next time you come on the show, we can talk about that.
The Malaysian government wants to buy Progressive. I just remembered. It was the Malaysian government. So 2 governments which are controlled by bureaucracies. Do you mind if I read a little bit of this advice with CSIS?
Sure.
Okay, this article is called Foreign Ownership a Threat? CSIS says. This is from Friday, September 21st, 2012, from the Toronto Star A3. Richard Fadden, he's the director of the Canadian Security Intelligence Services, and this is what he said, quote, certain state-owned enterprises and private firms with close ties to their home government have pursued opaque agendas or received clandestine intelligence support for their pursuits here, Fadden says in the report released Thursday. Quote, when foreign companies with ties to foreign intelligence agencies or hostile governments seek to acquire control over strategic sectors of the Canadian economy, it can represent a threat to Canadian security interests. The report covers the period 2010 to 11 for the spy agency, which employs more than 3,000 people and has a budget of $500 million. You know, so he's saying it's a threat to our sovereignty.
So how about if Iran comes in, or Syria, one of these kinds of countries that want to come in? So the ones that are, you know, fighting with the states and that kind of thing, what happens when they come in and want to invest here? Do we allow that?
No, we don't actually, because they don't even treat their people properly. They have no human rights. They throw their own people in prison.
Okay, so we don't even. Okay.
Plus, so our foreign policy is now determined outside of the country, as you know.
Let's get it back into Canada. It's ridiculous. Let's take care of our own. Let's worry about our own backyard before we start selling off and worrying about other people's problems. We need to focus on Canada.
Sean, I got a question for you. Just the Canadian government just closed their embassy in Iran, and now they're outsourcing a lot of that to apparently the British government. What do you think about that?
I think it's pathetic. If we shouldn't outsource anything to England. I want England and Canada to have a relationship, but I don't want them to be the head of the family. Like, I don't want
we're outsourcing our embassy to England?
Yeah.
Why was that done?
Political correctness, who knows?
Who knows what pressure John Baird is succumbing to.
Yeah, they're just supposed to be tough people. Harper government's supposed to be, the protest government, and now we're clinging to Mother England. It looks pathetic that we're...
It looks absolutely pathetic.
When is the next election for Harper?
2015.
Ah.
It's coming. It's not that far away. So he has 3 years to...
And why can't we just... This is the one issue with the U.S. policy that I really like, where you can only be in 2 terms and then you're out. We need to make that... we need to make that law.
Yeah, that would probably help.
Because we don't really want Harper in again, do we?
I don't know. There's not much other alternative.
That's the problem.
There's socialism.
That's the problem. Shawn, why don't you go?
There's a gutted Liberal Party, which is putting Justin back in, trying to resurrect egalitarianism. And then there's the Green Party.
Actually, you know what? If Justin runs, he'll probably win. Just on sentiment
He'll win the leadership, but I don't, the party has no more support left. The support base has been eroded. The Liberal Party...
This man could probably do it on his own just because of the sentiment with his dad.
He was a high school drama teacher. I think you're underestimating the intelligence of the Canadian citizens.
I think you're overestimating the desperation of people to not want Harper. It's not because they think he's the best one. It's because they don't want Harper.
He's got a majority government, though. Like, he has lots of support. He wouldn't have won a majority if people didn't think he was up for the job, so they voted for him.
Well, we all know he has a majority government
and
that he got with a minority of votes.
Yes, and how do we know that wasn't fixed?
Well, I'm optimistic that our democratic system is the best system that we could possibly have compared to other countries. We're lucky to have democracy.
Everybody knows that Harper is really good at manipulating the laws.
Well, he's a politician. You have to expect that he will try to manipulate.
And everybody knows that he will go behind the scenes whenever.
Send him an email and complain about it. That's what I do. I always complain. I send him an email. I send Jason Kenney an email. I send Stephen Harper an email. I say, look, don't sell these companies or don't do this and that. If everyone does that, they're going to,
I suspect that he's inundated with a lot of complaint emails.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to send him a real letter.
You have to send emails. You have to complain. They're a protest party. If you protest, they'll protest,
Okay, Shawn, we don't have a lot of time left. Anything else you want to let people know about right now?
There's an article in The Nation, in the Epoch Times, May 24th to 30th, 2012. Can I read a little section of it?
Sure.
Okay. It's called China's Stake in Oil Sands, a National Security Threat, says Elizabeth May. The national interest is not being protected, Green Leader says, by Justin Reichel. She's an Epoch Times staff. It's a little bit here. A recent shareholder analysis revealed by environmental group Forest Ethics Advocacy shows that close to 3/4 of oil sands production is now foreign-owned. According to Statistics Canada, the oil and gas sector in Canada has nearly double the amount of foreign investment compared to the national average. In addition, over half, 51.1% of the oil and gas operating revenue in Canada goes to foreign entities.
It's okay, when we go to free energy, that's not going to matter.
Yeah, when the water-powered car comes out, Shawn, those oil sands are going to be they're going to have to shut it all down.
Speaking of Elizabeth May, she would make an awesome prime minister.
She might?
She would.
The media,
she would do a hell of a lot better than
the media
Harper
really
is.
demonizes her, and they demonize the leader of the NDP. They're really good at demonizing. I think the media just likes to wreck people or something. They even make Harper look like a dictator.
Just a note, Elizabeth May is an American.
I don't care. She is amazing, and I think she's probably more loyal to Canada than Harper is.
So was Ignacio.
I think,
and
come on, Harper's related to Bush.
Personal friends with Brian Mulroney.
I don't have much.
No, she's not.
I don't have high regards for Brian Mulroney and Schreiber and the remember that suitcase full of money.
I think we should really give Elizabeth May a chance. I really do.
Well,
but the thing is, you have to be able to allow her to be on the panel with everybody else.
Let's have proportional representation.
Yes.
Shawn, what do you say? Proportional representation?
Yeah, I think, well, I don't know about proportional representation because the European Union, I think, is a big banana republic the way they do proportional representation. But I think the debates they have in the States are more... You get more of a feel for the candidates. Here,
we only got two.
We have a debate system that's based on the English model, which everyone kind of talks at once, and you can't understand what's going on.
Well, you have more candidates here.
You know what?
But everyone should have their turn to speak, though. There should be, everyone should have a chance to speak for, 3 to 5 minutes, just like at depositions or at hearings.
And the thing is, we should be able to vote. When we go to vote for the Prime Minister, we should be able to vote for the person in our riding, and we should be able to vote for the Prime Minister, which means we should have 2 votes. So I should be able to vote for the person that I want in my particular riding, and then who I think would be the greater leader of them all. And they may not be two of the same. I may like the person in my riding to be, an NDPer, and I might want Elizabeth May as the Prime Minister. I would love to see how that goes down.
I was trying to think of some of the companies that hadn't been bought out. Loblaws, Bombardier, Magna. There's not very many. We've sold, Bell and TELUS are still technically Canadian. The big six banks.
Rogers, right, too?
Yeah, Rogers is still Canadian. But how long is it going to be before we sell? Like, we keep selling our companies, and we have such a low productivity. We're not creating enough companies to continually protect ourselves from the becoming a satellite state. Like, sooner or later, decisions won't be made in Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal. They'll be made in Berlin, Tokyo, or Shanghai. Like,
this is a one world government, right?
The thing in some ways, the U.S. is suffering under similar circumstances in the fact that a lot of the U.S. manufacturing has been moved elsewhere.
Yeah, but they're also bringing it back too, and there's evidence that it's coming back to Canada slowly. Like, I just read an article today about a gentleman that makes clothing. He pays his workers $20-something an hour.
How is he able to do that?
Because he sells his product for a premium. It's a quality product. Like, he sells on quality, and that's where Canada and the States are moving.
Speaking of, have you guys gone into Walmart lately? Their prices have gone up.
Really?
What is up with that?
Well, China's
okay, I know that's probably a bad word to mention in Shawn's presence here, but their prices have gone up, and I'm like, you know what? Don't shop at Walmart anymore. It's not cheap.
Well, I don't shop there anyway. Like, they usually buy cheap stuff, and it wipes out small business. You know, when they open a store, it wipes out mom and pop shops down the road.
I mean, I do go in there and buy Canadian stuff, Canadian-made stuff.
Do they sell Canadian-made
stuff? Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Well, you know what, and that's people slag Walmart, but I think Walmart, just being in the position that they're in, they have a tremendous opportunity to support local business.
You're right, absolutely.
If they were just to take that on as a corporate objective and say we're dedicated to helping people create opportunity.
It would give them a competitive advantage, right? And they definitely have the buying power to do it.
They've got the buying power, they've got the market share.
But they are not the cheapest anymore. I have seen prices.
Wait till Target moves in. Target's coming.
I paid.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. I don't know why. But all of a sudden, I've known the prices have gone.
I purchased these shoes for $500 near Kennedy Subway, and they're handmade in Germany.
They're $500.
Yeah, made a
$500 for those shoes.
And they'll last me 10 years.
When did you get them?
I got them last year, and they were really. It took me a while to break them in. Dora's Shoes. She sells handmade shoes and handmade flip-flops, for swimming, made of leather.
But you're not supporting the Canadian economy because that's made in Germany.
Yeah, but she sells her product here and she operates here. She's not selling in Germany. She sells it here. If they made it here, I'd still buy it, but I don't know where they sell handmade Canadian shoes.
Okay. So. Well, listen, we're just about out of time, Shawn. So, final word you want to leave people with?
Yeah, stop the corporate sell-off of Canada by emailing Christian Paradies, the MP, for Harper's government, complain. So you don't sell the product, not the company, and stop.
You're selling the people.
Yeah, stop turning Canada into a satellite nation. That's the message Canadians should send the government. And if you complain, enough people do it, they'll change.
Okay.
And the next message is, Shawn, run for Prime Minister. If anybody's passionate, it's you.
Because she'll vote for you, even if she votes for a different party locally. Okay. All right. So that's the show today. Shawn, if people want to get in touch with you, where can they do that?
I would vote for you even over Elizabeth May.
They can send me an email at shawn@endofees.ca, which is also my research website where I do my book reviews.
Okay, Shawn.
And if they Google Shawn Dalton on YouTube, they can see my debates that I'm doing with you guys on these topics, on immigration and on the corporate sell-off of Canada. There's 7. This will be the 7th one that I've done with you guys. And I appreciate for you inviting me on the Liquid Lunch Show to debate these controversial topics.
Awesome.
God bless you.
Great to have you,
Thank
Shawn.
you.
Thanks for doing this.
He's probably the most passionate Canadian in Canada ever.
Okay. Well, that was a good show, Sandra. Huh?
It was a really, really good show. It was an excellent show.
So why don't we, we'll just go out now and say bye to everybody. We'll be back tomorrow for Liquid Lunch right here at noon here on thatchannel.com.
Woo! Yay!
Okay, see you then. Peace.
Bye.
Maybe they should be called not-so-safe deposit boxes. Carla Ruff's box was drilled, seized, and turned over to the state of California. Owner unknown.
I was appalled.
Unknown? Carla's name was right on documents in the box. So was her address, a house about 6 blocks from the bank. Carla had a checking account at the bank too, still does, and receives regular statements. Plus, she has receipts showing she's the kind of person who paid her box rental fee.
They're zealously uncovering accounts that are not unclaimed.
What's worse, Carla discovered the loss when she went to her box to retrieve important paperwork she needed because her husband was dying. Those papers had been shredded, and that's not all.
She's wearing the pearls.
Her great-grandmother's precious natural pearls and other jewelry had been auctioned off, sold for less than $1,800, even though they were appraised for $82,000.
These things were things that she gave to me, and I valued them because I loved her.
Carla Ruff is not alone. Attorney Bill Palmer represents her and countless other citizens in a class action lawsuit.
They figured that the safety deposit box was safer than keeping it under their mattress. And in the case of a lot of citizens, they were wrong, weren't they?
Some states keep unclaimed property in a special trust fund, but others, like California, dump it into the general fund.
You acknowledge that you inherited a situation where the state was using this free money.
That's absolutely correct.
In fact, ABC News obtained an internal memo in which the attorney for the Bureau of Unclaimed Property argued against expanding programs to notify rightful owners. He wrote it could well result in additional claims of monies that would otherwise flow into the general fund.
What we've done here over the last 2 decades has been dead wrong, right? You know, we've kept the property and not provided owners with the opportunity, the best opportunities to get their property back.
It's not just safe deposit boxes. A British man went to retire and discovered that the $4 million in U.S. stock he had been counting on had been seized and sold for just $200,000 years earlier. A Sacramento family lost out on railroad land rights ancestors had owned for generations.
If I'd hang on to it, would be millionaire, multimillionaire.
And it's not just California. In Delaware, unclaimed property is the 3rd largest source of state revenue. Idaho now keeps unclaimed property permanently if the rightful owners don't claim it within 10 short years. And all 50 states pay private contractors to seize accounts for them. It's an inherent conflict of interest. The more rightful owners are found, the less money the contractors make. And let's face it, in the internet era, most people are easy to find.
Do you see your own address on there?
I do.
I found you in about 5 minutes. So what's preventing you from finding the rightful owners of all this property?
No, we're making our best efforts.
If California does get better at reuniting people with their property, that could present another challenge. Remember, right now the state spends the money.
It's like the last guy in a line at a pizza parlor. There's only so much pizza. At the end, when I get up to the counter to claim my pizza, there may be no pizza for me.
I don't want my legacy to say I continued a broken program. You know, I want my legacy to say that, you know, this guy was the guy who truly cared about the people and returned their money.
But of course, it's impossible to return Carla Ruff's precious family heirlooms.
Carla has settled with her bank, Bank of America, which says it deeply regrets the situation. And last year, the courts ordered California to stop seizing people's property until it made reforms. And several of those changes are now in place.
But as little as 3 years can allow them to come in and do this, right?
That's right. They just wait 3 years and then they consider the account abandoned.
Quick tips for everybody?
First of all, make contact at least once a year, so there's no way that your property can be considered abandoned. The other thing is to make a list of your accounts and keep it with your will so your heirs will know where to look. And if you want to search for property in your name, you don't have to pay somebody to do that. You can go right to our website, and we've provided a couple links where you can do that for free.
Okay, this was a mouth dropper for all of us. No idea. Thanks so much. And again, the website can help.
In a flash, be the first to know what's coming up on Good Morning America tomorrow with the GMA Daily Flash email. All the great insider details you want to know from GMA. Go to abcnews.com, click the GMA page, and sign up for the Daily Flash. And you can even enter to win the weekly GMA Flash gift bag giveaway. Sign up now.